perpetuate themselves. They're not making it safer. I mean, the thing is, yes, the only reason that our founding fathers gave the federal government the power to tax was so they can defend the country. That should be the predominant role of the federal government, and that should be most of its spending, is on national defense. The rest we could take care of ourselves. But they're so distracted on so many other things that they screw that job up. And, as I said, I'm not, an expert on military strategy. I mean, there are people that know more about that than I do. But I think I'm an expert on economics. And I know that everything the government tells the public on economics is wrong. Everything is wrong. They are completely incompetent. And my guess is that their incompetence extends beyond economics. They're probably incompetent in everything. And so I'm sure they're doing a lot of things wrong in the way they're defending the country. David.
You define your opponent and differentiate yourself from your opponent.
Which opponent? You talking about in the...
We're Republicans. Who's your opponent, and how would you differentiate yourself?
Okay, assuming I get the nomination and I'm running in the general election, yeah, the difference between me and Dick Blumenthal, Dick Blumenthal is a politician and he's a lawyer. Not that many people like politicians, not that many people like lawyers. He's both. Right? And he has spent his career screwing up businesses. Right. He is the second highest official in the state of Connecticut. Look at the mess the Connecticut economy is in. He can't walk from that. His strategy is going to be send me to Washington so I can do for the country what I did for Connecticut. That ain't going to play. Right? Look at the mess it's in. Look at how many lawyers work in the Attorney General's office now compared to when he started. He specializes in growing government. That's not what we need. Right? What does he do? He files lawsuits. Yeah, that's how we're going to get out of this mess. We're going to sue our way out of this mess. Right? We need to send another lawyer to Washington so we can sue people. That is not going to do it. I mean, so I think running against Dick Blumenthal is going to be almost as fun as running against Chris Dobbs. I don't think there's any way in a debate or anything you do, you're going to get a guy who spent his whole life grandstanding in a public office because he wanted to be United States Senator. Right?
The only thing I'm going to say to you, don't put on a red blazer. It doesn't look good. What do you got, Tom? Okay, James, I'm going to ask you and Dominic, because he's left. I want a question. Okay.
Poor Jimmy. Poor Jimmy. It's on you.
I picked on you too. You just left the room.
Stand up.
I have several questions. Number one, what do you think of the recent reappointment of Ben Bernanke as Federal Reserve Chairman?
We already told you that. We heard that already.
Okay, you're not getting a yay on that one.
The question is, what do you want in the next Federal Reserve Chairman? Number two is, I'm sorry, I lost my mind.
Well, let me answer number one while you're thinking about number two. I mean, first of all, look, Ben Bernanke has done a horrific job as Fed chairman. Right? He has done everything wrong. What the Federal Reserve is supposed to do is stand up to Washington and to not just simply be an engine of inflation. The Fed should impose discipline on the federal government. The Fed should refuse to monetize all this debt. The Fed should refuse to bail out Wall Street. We should have a responsible interest rate policy and sound money. The Fed should be protecting the value of the dollar, not bailing out politicians and Wall Street bankers. But I wouldn't have voted to reconfirm him. The problem is, had we not confirmed Ben Bernanke, it's possible that we might have got somebody even worse. Because I'm sure if there is someone who could do a worse job, President Obama would find him and put him in there. But maybe he could have put Paul Volcker in, because Paul Volcker did an excellent job as Fed chairman when he was there. In fact, the reason that the economy did so well during the 1980s is because of the policies of Ronald Reagan and Paul Volcker. Because we had a Fed chairman who was independent, who raised interest rates when it wasn't popular, and a politician who stood behind him. That's what we need now. Unfortunately, we've got the exact polar opposite in Ben Bernanke and Barack Obama, which is why the next 10 years are going to look nothing like the 1980s.
You can't be done.
Yeah.
I think he was saying that David did it. Oh my. Yes, Brian.
One, I want to thank you for mentioning the Constitution. I haven't heard that from Simmons very much, or
Well, he does carry one around in his pocket. I don't know if he's ever actually looked inside.
Oh,
Well, yeah, to put his tea bag, he looks there.
My question is, people have made comments concerning your investment strategy. You mainly invest in countries in Europe and Central Asia. People have referred to that as being unpatriotic. Could you please address that?
Yeah, sure. Unfortunately, right, my job as an investment advisor is to try to protect the wealth of my clients, try to get them to have a good return. And unfortunately, I understand as an economist that the policies out of Washington are destroying investment opportunities in the United States. The policies of the Federal Reserve are debasing the value of the dollar. I know that the further out in time we go, the less the dollar is going to buy. Therefore, people investing in dollar-denominated assets are going to lose wealth. I also know that the government is passing rules and regulations and taxes that are diminishing the profitability and the productivity of American businesses. There are other countries around the world that aren't doing it. So as an investor looking for the best return, I find opportunities outside the United States far more compelling. And I think central bankers in other countries are not acting as irresponsibly as ours. Now, as a senator, what I want to do is work to change those policies so that America can be a better place to save and invest. Right now, it's not. Right now, I know that if I simply tell my clients to keep their money in America out of patriotism, they're going to go broke. And I don't see anything patriotic in poverty. And I think the best thing that I can do for this country is to help my clients protect their wealth so that eventually when we do the right thing, we can bring that wealth home. In the meantime, I'm helping my clients exchange dollars that may soon be worthless to buy real assets in other countries, real assets that bring dividend income into the United States for Americans, that help reduce our current account deficit. So the more real wealth I can put in the hands of Americans and the more dollars I can stick with foreigners, the better, because they're going to collapse.
Okay, Peter, what I'm going to ask you is, if and when you're someplace else, I have a feeling this crowd's going to want to listen to you again, and those who aren't here tonight are going to wish they were. So please keep me posted. I'll talk to your guys back there.
The best thing you can do if you want to keep tabs on where I'm going to be, if you go to my Senate campaign website, which is schiffforsenate.com, there is a calendar there, and all of my upcoming appearances are there, so you can see where I'm going to be. And of course, that's a good website to go to if you want to get more information about my campaign. You certainly can spend some time if it's a snowy afternoon and you want some entertainment. Go to Google, put in Peter Schiff, or go to YouTube and put in Peter Schiff. There are hundreds and hundreds of recordings of me giving speeches, giving lectures on television. You can go back and actually see what I said and when I said it. I do have a couple of books out. As I said, Crash Proof. I revised it recently. Crash Proof 2.0. You can read that book, and just imagine what it would be like to have somebody like me in Congress, because right now there's nobody like me there. And so you can do a lot of research to see the things that I've written and things that I said over the years. And I have an opinion on just about every issue, and it's all online. It's all there.